So guys, welcome online. I'm Dr. Judy. I don't know a lot of you who are online, so welcome. We're going to do relationships today. I've got a bunch of people in person as well. As you know, I'm both doing live and online. The most important thing for those of you online is that I will be taking this video and converting it and using it for like podcast, YouTube, and so on. So if you don't want your camera on, take your camera off. That's the most important thing you need to know. And if you want to be part of the conversation, I would love it. The easiest way to do that is there is a chat box on the right, and you can see where it says chat if you're actually on a computer, and you can fire me a message, and then I will see it, and I will unmute you, or you can just type in what's going on for you. But I'm so excited and blessed you guys are here, so thank you. And we're just going to start in 1 minute. And those of you at home, if you could grab a journal and a pen, or just a piece of paper and a pen, because you might find when we do some exercises today that helps. And if anything is going on for you, if I'm stirring the pot too much, pause. All of my workshops, I know a lot of you are new to me, all of my workshops are completely interactive. So if I've stirred the pot and you're feeling really triggered, pause and we'll help you out, because you'll see me helping these guys out if something comes up. But I hope you guys have fun and we'll get started. Welcome, guys. I'm so excited you guys are here. We're doing relationships. And we have, I'm joking, we have a token male. I'm joking. I had to say that. We're always talking about one or two token males. I love that. I love that. And I know we've heard it.
I don't have to go on stage.
You have to go on stage. Come up here. Relationships is a newer topic that I've been teaching in groups as of the last few months. You were at my one day not too long ago. Yeah. Valerie, were you here too for the one day that I did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were here. Yeah. And you were here too?
I think so.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
So crazy. So, so I've taught a one-day event and I've taught a 6-week online event that was all about relationships. And one of the reasons I haven't moved from mind, body, spirit to relationships, it's been like an add-on, is because I would say about 70 to 80% of what I do in that room, in my one-to-one work, I have realized over years is relationship focused. Mm-hmm. So people come in, say, with health issues. I've got 2 phone calls to make back for clients who called last night. One was a depression, and one was who I've worked with before, and one was a woman who got fired from a job, and a bit of a convoluted story, but it's all relationship. Does that kind of make sense? It's the relationship with themselves, relationship with their partners, relationship with their parents. And I found health stuff I work with clients. I have lots of clients with fibromyalgia, chronic pain, all kinds of different health issues. I'm always pulling threads of relationships. Does that kind of make sense? I have one client specific that I'm thinking of right now who sees me for fibromyalgia. And she always notices she gets flare-ups whenever her and her husband go like this. Does that kind of make sense? So a lot of the work I do, wait. No, don't wait this. Sorry, I'm back. So a lot of the work I do is I've discovered over years is so relationship focused. What I have discovered is it's actually a relationship with ourselves and a lot of the mirrors in our brains. As most of you guys know, I never teach from notes, but I was channeling for this class and I have a few things scribbled down. So I'm going to be using a little bit of that. Hi guys, for those of you at home, if you don't want to have your video on for the recordings, you might want to take it off because a couple of people hopped on, so I want to tell them. Because I'll be converting this into something I'm going to use again. So if you don't want to have your video on for the recordings for podcasts, take your video off. But I'm so glad you guys are here online. And welcome. And if you guys want to make comments or want some help, type into the chat box and I'll keep going. So what I've discovered is relationships are integral. So it's not just our relationship with our partner, or not just our relationship with our kids, our relationship with our bosses, our siblings. It's all of it. Got it? And I believe that our relationships are actually here to push us and heal us, like we were talking about earlier. They are such a journey into ourselves. But what most of us do is we ignore our relationships because we can't, because most of us realistically spend more time at work or more time keeping ourselves busy that we can put the blinders on. And then what we often see is our relationships keep repeating the same patterns. So in my relationship courses that I teach, basically what I'm teaching, and this is really important because I know there's a lot of people online who I've never met before. So a couple things that are, and I know a lot of you guys know me really well, which is cool, but especially for them, what you want to know is everything I teach is about energy, everything. So the concept is that we're always emitting an energy vibration, and then something comes in to match that energy vibration. Pretty simple. We've all heard about law of attraction, The Secret. Y'all have heard of it. So we're literally an energy bundle. And everything that's occurring in our lives is occurring to us and for us as a gift. Because a lot of us would love to take our partners, put them into a box, keep the good stuff, and send away the bad stuff. Right? We can relate to that, right? Oh, yeah. Whether that be our kid, our boss, our sibling. But we can't do that. So everything we're going to talk about is energy. And the second thing I want you to know, especially for those of you who are new to me, is that the relationship struggles we have are a gift, like with a capital G. The hugest gift you could ever ask for in your life. The biggest gift. And sometimes it's like this. And we're like, I don't want to look at it. But today we're going to look at it. Today, and if you join, I have an event coming up on November 4th. That's a one-dayer. If you're choosing to look at it, that's where the healing lies. And if you don't look at it, it's just going to be like this on your face. Not for the rest of your life. You can peel it off, but then it'll come back. Does that kind of make sense? So again, everything is energy. The greatest gifts you could ever have. Why? For healing, for expansion of who you are, but also for expansion of stuff that you were taught from your family, your parents. And we'll get into that stuff in a little while here. The relationships we experience are always a reflection of us. And we're going to get into that. They're either a reflection of our belief systems, a reflection of our energy, a reflection of our thoughts, or a reflection of something. So I sometimes, for those of you who've never done my work before, sometimes I do a lot of what's called mirror work, and it annoys people to hell. But everything out here is just a mirror. Does that make sense to you guys? It's a never-ending mirror. The third thing I want to just, again, for those of you who are new to us, all of our relationships that irritate or annoy us, or that feel really good, but especially about the ones that irritate or annoy us, you can yell until you're green in the face about that person. You can come and talk to me about it for 9 hours, 9 years, 9 days. And we could talk about it. But there's a never-ending cycle to that. There's no solution. There's absolutely no solution. And most of us know that, right? I had a client in yesterday who was having whatever she does for work, it doesn't matter, but she's had some major life events. And she's been seeing a psychiatrist for 10 years and a therapist higher that for 10 years. Amazing woman and nothing wrong with what she's doing. And I said to her, so why do you think those things are occurring? She said, well, abandonment issues from that and this from that. And I said to her, so do you want to do something about it? She goes, you can do something about it? And I said, yes. Because the majority of what we're taught in the outside world is that if you have abandonment issues, then you're stuck with it forever. And this work is that you're not. Does that make sense to you guys? This work is that you are not. And I need those of you who are new to me to hear that loud and clear. You are not stuck with it. We talk a lot here about how things are essentially a spiral staircase. And our subconscious is patterned, and I'll repeat this as we go, so don't worry. Our subconscious is patterned from 0 to 13, 0 to 50. And we have layers. And a lot of us can relate to abandonment. A lot of us can relate to triggers of fear. A lot of us can relate to triggers of feeling like we have a victim energy. And those are all the patterns that are laid in our subconscious. Am I good enough? Those conversations. And they talk about a spiral staircase that we literally revolve around, back and forth, back and forth. And we just continue to loop the spiral staircase with those triggers. Does that kind of make sense? And until we heal them, until the time we're 70 or 80 years old, we're still going to live. Did that resonate to you guys? So this work is about shifting ourselves to heal those spiral staircase subconscious stuff, which can be done. And that's the biggest thing that you guys want to know as we embark on the journey today. When we start to unravel our stories, if you think you're stuck with it like a tattoo, now they have tattoo removals. So we can actually shift. Does that kind of make sense? Things can shift. And if you believe that, then everything is possible. If you don't believe it's possible, then this work may not be for you. And I completely respect that. But this work is all about us in here, okay? And we can talk about our partner, our boss, our coworker, our kids. We can talk about that for a few days, a few weeks, a few months. But then at a certain point, we're going to call time out. What's going on in here? Does that make sense? Because that's a splat. Give me 1 second. Are any of you guys too hot in here? You guys are okay? No. If it gets too hot or too cold, let me know, because I have no sense of temperature when we're here. Just so you guys know. So the next thing I want to say is everything that you're going to learn from me today is all about empowerment. It's to take responsibility. And some of the responsibility is going to be icky. And there will be times today that you will not like me. And I'm okay with that. Okay? I am literally just a messenger. I am okay with that because we're going to put a flashlight on those patterns that you have. And you'll go, if I don't like the victim in me, guess what? We all have one. And the more you can say we all have one, the easier it gets. And there may be a chance in here during this conversation today that you'll want to walk out the door. Cool. When you feel like that, that's when the pedal hits the metal. I know that it's going to be a really good session with my coach when I don't know how to session. Does that kind of make sense? The other day, one of my clients who comes relatively regularly, she said it was the first time, she's an actor, she said it was the first time she started seeing me a few years ago that she pulled up out here and went, I don't want to go in. She went to McDonald's for a coffee. She went for a walk. She said, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And normally she comes in here all excited, right? And that day she had like a huge breakthrough. Does that kind of make sense? Because why that occurs is because they talk about quote unquote our ego. Our ego doesn't want to be seen. And in some ways we resist those breakthroughs. So our brain goes, no, 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 don't look at that. But your body will tell you if you feel stuck in here, you feel nauseous, you feel a cramp. That's because something wants to open or release. Got it? So this is all about energy. The other thing that I'm getting guided to say to you, like I said, I took some channel notes not too long ago, a couple days ago. A lot of the stuff, not all of it, but a lot of the stuff that occurs in our relationships is from our family lineage. Does that kind of make sense? Our mom did it this way, our dad did it this way. The most common thing that most of us know about is you think about alcoholics or abuse. It's not bad, it just is. But we have families of alcoholics, right? My dad was, my grandfather was. Or we have families of abuse, like my dad beat so-and-so up. My mother, do you get how it works? I had one client the other day who has been recently suffering physical abuse from an emotional abusive relationship, and she left. And I asked her point blank, I said, does that run in your family? She's like, no. But there is the victim story in her family. Does that make sense? So that there, when we look at the family lineage stuff, it's not a way of shirking responsibility, but it's a way of seeing what you were taught. Does that kind of make sense? It's not about blaming your father or your grandfather or your grandmother for stuff, but it's about going, oh, look, isn't that interesting? The other thing I'm getting guided to say to you, especially a lot of family lineage stuff I do, if we look at history gone by, it's 2018 right now, and man, we have good lives. We've got computers, we've got homes, we've got heaters, we've got food, we've got grocery stores, we've got a washer and dryer. A lot of times when I'm doing like really deep relationship coaching stuff and the client's willing to go into family lineage stuff, doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it does. And whenever I go there and like dig deep, what we typically find is there's a relationship to the war, to Holocaust, to famine. Like if we go enough generations back, to communism, to an introduction of something that was outside of the person's control. Does that kind of make sense? And then if you think about it, if you were, say, let's use an example, living in a country that was taken over by communism, how that would feel if this is your grandfather or your parent. It felt pretty awful. You just had all of this money, you just had all of this wealth, you just had all of this life, and then all of a sudden a governmental change occurred. And that change, so what that change does is it affects your personality, it affects who you are, and it affects how you parent your kids. And then your kids end up with a fear vibration, and then that's how they go on to live their lives. Does that make sense? So when I'm really digging deep with some of my clients who are willing to go there, and we go back and we go, well, where did this fear come from? And we look way back, it's stuff that you go, wow, I get it. And when you go, I get it, you truly say, wow, I get it. That's when you release the bondage of that which you perceive as yours and wrong. That kind of makes sense. Okay, cool. So when I was creating today's event, any comments or questions? We're good?
I have a question.
Yes. Luckily this picks up. Go ahead.
Okay, if you
No,
are
we're good, sweetie.
shifting something,
Yeah.
and you think that you've dealt with it,
yeah,
why does it come back?
Oh, well, let's go there right now. So it always comes back, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you think, oh, this is over, and then, oh, wait a minute, no, it's not.
And do you mean that you keep getting it back? Like it just keeps occurring
in
life?
different kind of ways, like you like you feel like you've shifted something and it's not really fully gone. One
of two things. Either you haven't completely, like, okay, let me back up. It's a great question. It's a pretty advanced question for those listening online. So if we've got I'm going to back up and answer from a beginner's point of view. We've got a subconscious patterning and we keep seeing it recurring in our lives, right? That's basically what you're saying. The thing is, truly to shift it, truly, let me say that. We will never get rid of anything in our subconscious pattern. It's always going to be there. Does that kind of make sense? But it's our reaction to it or diving deep into it that's our choice. Okay,
So is it charged or not charged?
exactly. But the thing with this work is, let's just say I had abandonment issues. Let's just say.
Okay, yeah.
And I keep bringing in partners or a son or workers or clients who I always feel abandoned. Let's just say. The difference is that when I feel the trigger, this is the trigger, I can feel it coming, then with this work, so that's going to occur because spiral staircase is going to keep happening. Got it? So you're still going to have it, but the difference with this work is when you see it occur, and it's not here anymore. It doesn't overtake your life when you wake up 10 years later going WTF.
Right.
Do you get it? But you see it right away or within a few weeks or a few months and then go, now do I want to do this? And then you look at your own stuff, and then when you look at your own stuff and heal your stuff in that moment, that's when it goes away. But it will always recur. And I think that's a common, not misnomer, but a thought that will eventually never, ever experience abandonment again. That's actually not true. You will, because in your gene stuff. But so let me just teach something, and then I'm going to come back. So guys, in this work, everything is opposites, right? So what that means is opposite, every topic is opposite, hot and cold, being bankrupt, being rich. Because if you think of a lot of the wealthy people on the planet, what have they all experienced? Being bankrupt. Does that kind of make sense? When you have a hot shower, you typically have a cold shower to start, then make it hot. See how it works? So everything is opposite. Now, the same for emotions. What's the opposite of abandonment? What do you guys think? Feeling completely loved and seen and adored, right? The opposite of fear is love. The opposite of rejection is acceptance and love. So pretty much the opposite of a lot of stuff is love. Do you see how that works? But when you see that abandonment coming in, then in that moment, you're like, wow, what do I want to choose? This? Or do I want to choose this? And when you choose the love side of feeling together and owning the part of you that manifested this, that's when it can heal. Does that kind of make sense? Now, you're still going to possibly get triggered, but what you'll start to notice over time, Valerie, is that you'll see more of the love stuff. Like, wow, isn't that crazy how manifested?
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense? Yeah.
Sometimes in a relationship, though, too, you change.
100%.
And the person who you have the relationship with keeps going back to his or her old patterns.
Sure.
And you can see it, you see it from above as an observer. You
Right.
see, oh, he's trying to do that, or
Right.
she's trying to do that. And you don't get triggered, but then if it keeps reoccurring, this is what I find,
Right.
is that you kind of get sucked into it again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So let's ask that question from like a really, really,
I
really
don't know if
deep.
it's a question or an observation or how to deal with it. I don't know what it is. But
It's a pathway. And what I
Okay.
mean by that is it's a part of the journey. Let me explain it a different way. So on the ultimate deepest level, most of us have heard that Wayne Dyer expression that says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Does that kind of make sense? If our partners, so what that means, guys, and play with this one. This is a deeper concept. When our partners show up, say never on time, I'm making this one up, because we feel like we can never have that. Our partners always show up never on time. They're always 20 minutes late, half an hour late, never bring us flowers, forget our birthday, whatever. Because we have this thought of being invisible or that we don't counter matter, right? Let's just say that keeps happening. If we work on our stuff, what happens eventually over time is that they start to change. They show up on time, they bring us flowers, they don't forget our birthdays, blah, blah. But what I do want to say is that if it keeps recurring or we keep getting triggered, is because part of us unconsciously wants to go into that. So there's a deeper level of healing for us in there. Does that make sense? And when we keep seeing it, so let's just say you don't show up for my birthday every single year. If I see it, then I'm going there. Does that make sense? If I don't see it, guess where I'm going? She loves me no matter what. Do you get it? It's our observation that does everything. Does that make sense? So when we see something in our partners or friends or kids that bug us, and we focus on it, guess what we do? We make it bigger. Does that resonate about? Does that help or does that?
yeah, no, it helps. Yeah, definitely. But I guess it's getting out of that fix-it mode.
That's a big woman's thing. So let's go there and reference this next teaching part. Let's go there. So when I was putting this together, Usually when I teach webinars, I try to put acronyms so you guys get an idea of what we're going to cover today. So I came up with a really cute webinar. It's called LUV. L stands for look. Look at the external diversion patterns. Guys, when it's something occurring out here, you've got to be willing to look at it. What most of us do is we go like this. So we're going to do some exercises in a bit. We have to be willing to look at what's happening. Got it? Look at it and look at the patterns and see what is that. He doesn't show up on time. He forgets my birthday. He doesn't bring flowers. Like, look at it. Don't run from it. Okay, that's it. You is to think that you've got ropes around your legs that keep producing that. Remember, everything that occurs in our life is because of us. So we've got to look at what is in us. And I called it untangle from our own ropes. Look at that as a mirror, and we've got to start to untangle it. Okay? V is victory. V is we've lifted the veil and we're like, oh, that's what it is. Now I'm excited. Now I can shift it. So pretty simple. LUV. Look at it, untangle from it, and then as we untangle from it, heal it, we lift the veil. Pretty simple, right? That's where victory, and it's repeat, 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 over and over and over again. So let's kind of go a little bit deeper into what I was talking about a second ago. So let's do an exercise. If you don't have a pen and paper, grab it up here. I want you to pick one person in your life, and right away, that person's going to come in. Don't think twice. The name that popped in, that's the person you're going to work with. Got it? Okay. Those at home, don't think twice. The name that came in, that's the one you're going to work with. That might not be a mark pen. That might be a highlighter or whatever. So pick the name. Okay, now I want you to, look at the pattern. So describe the patterns. Guys, pick somebody where the patterns are kind of wonky. They're not all lovey-dovey. Okay? So you picked a person. Now start to write down the pattern. She shows up late. She's never on time. She's unreliable. She always hurts me. And I want you to write it from a third person. Just observe it. Does that make sense? Q, honey, you're so sweet. She is like my ultimate, like, complete helper. So just write down the patterns. And this is Al, guys. Just look at the patterns. And again, those of you guys at home, if you have questions or comments, feel free to type them in. As you guys are talking, I'm not teaching, so don't worry. I'm saying some stuff that you guys can hear as you're writing. We all have the ability to heal these patterns you're writing down. We all do. Every single one of us do. And that's the choice that we walk into. Keep writing out your patterns you see.
Just with one person.
Yeah, we're just doing one person.
And just one pattern, right?
Either one pattern or just one thing that you keep seeing recurrently.
Right.
Does that kind of make sense?
Right.
How do you feel? What's going on? What do they do? Because you wouldn't be here if all your relationships were absolutely amazing and if you weren't willing to look at it. That makes sense? Because you're here because of that reason. Those are such great songs to me. Oh my God. Pardon? I know, they're so cute. They're so cute. Like I said, if you get hot, cold, right?
I changed temperature.
I know, I do too. That's why I said it.
I even have a fan with me, so you see me fanning.
My husband's like, thank you, what's
When this discussion gets heated, I'll be fanning.
I'll be fatty. All the energy. Home is still ready. You guys are still ready. I'll give you a couple more minutes. And we'll do a couple exercises, so don't worry, guys. We're going to do some more in a minute, I think. Before we go to the next step, I want to say this next statement. So before I go on, a couple of things that got me to say to you guys. You cannot get a relationship wrong. You cannot get it wrong because there is no such thing as wrong. We learned that really well in Sedona, didn't we?
Yep.
No such thing as wrong. It just is. There's no such thing as wrong as divorce. There's nothing wrong with excommunicating. There's nothing wrong, serious, or bad. Okay? That's a huge part of the work I do. Okay? We want to lift off any judgment that we're putting on ourselves or another person. You are the only one who can give yourself quote unquote advice or guidance about your relations. Don't look to me. Don't look to your best friend. Don't look to your confidant. You've got to look inside yourself because the answers are not out there. They're in here. And again, I'm going to say it again. There's some people online that need to hear this. There's nothing wrong. You cannot get it wrong. There's nothing wrong with divorce, separation, excommunication. Nothing wrong. Okay? Please, guys, can you hear that? For myself, my personal life, most of you guys know, I was married when I was 27 or 28 to my first husband. He was a great guy, is a great guy. We were together for about 8 or 10 years. Amazing guy. Not married for that long, but together for that long. And one of the reasons we broke up, there were a couple of reasons. One was the biggest reason was I kind of really felt that it was over. Like it was like a divine guidance of like, it's done. But the excuses I used, the human excuses I used were, there's something wrong with you. Like there's something wrong with you. Like, like there's something wrong with you. I kept saying that. It's a really common thing that we've learned in our society is to say, there's something wrong with you, there's something wrong with you, something wrong with you. There's certain courses out there. I took one called Landmark Education. The expression that's used is, you're making them wrong. You guys hear that? You're making them wrong. You go to the gas station guy is flipping through his magazine and you got to pay and he's flipping and in your mind you're going, you friggin' idiot. In that moment, you're making him wrong. Does that make sense? It's a pattern that many of us have learned post-war to make other people wrong, especially, I'm not a women's liberal. I need to say that, okay? But especially with women's lib, in order for women to kind of find an equal footing from the Gloria Steinem on, and nothing wrong with it. In fact, I have huge honor and respect for those women. But what were we trained in the late 60s, early 70s? We were trained to make our partners wrong. Does that kind of make sense? So now a few generations later, what do I see a ton? A woman saying exactly what I said to my husband, there's something wrong with you. Then that husband disappeared and in comes husband number 2. And we get pregnant right away. I'm like, Jesus, I have to stay with this man? You gave me a pregnancy right away? Are you joking? What did I do 2 years into our marriage? Kid is now 2 years old, 3 years old, whatever. I did exactly the same thing I did to have husband number 1. And I heard it coming out of my mouth about different topics. Does that kind of make sense? And I was like, oh shit, this is mine, not his. Like I just had this aha moment. Does that make sense to you guys? Because you'll keep repeating your patterns unless you're willing to go to you, which is to untangle them. So now that you've looked at what you've written down, I want you to imagine that you've got ropes around your feet. This partner who's coming into you is an energy match to something in you. So I want you to look at what you've written down. This husband or this partner or this kid never communicates with me, or whatever you wrote down. What could be a pattern in you? And this is where I'll help you guys if you need it. What could be in a pattern in you that's an energy match to that? So for example, in my case, with that whole husband's conversation around you're wrong, guess the vibrational match to me is. I have a bunch, but one of the layers is, guess who always has to be right? And why? Because that's what I was taught when I was a kid. If I didn't get an A, there was something wrong. So guess what? We had to be right. Do you see how that works? It's pretty simple, but you have to look at that rope. And when I first realized that, I was like, oh my God. So look at what you wrote down. What is a rope in you that's a match to that? Does that make sense what I'm asking you to do? Or any of you stuck? Hey, where are you stuck? Do you want to share what you wrote down? You don't have to share who it's with. That's cool.
Okay.
But just share what the patterns are and where you're stuck.
It's not my way.
Cool. It's not you. I have to say that.
Negative aspects, like negative views on everything,
So these are people you run into or people you know?
like family,
Okay, and they have negative views on things.
about everything to do with that I'm excited about.
Got it. Just one quick question. Is this regarding the relationship shifting and they're all negative about it, or is it just other stuff too?
Others.
Okay, so people in your life, family specifically, they tend, so this is we're looking at the patterns, they tend to be negatively focused about something you're up to. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
And it could be anything from your work to this to that, and they're always on it. Okay. So you want some help?
Yeah.
Did I get anything else you want to add?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's layers, guys. It's never just one. But one of the ropes, if you know this one, Marty, there's a part of you that's always looking for approval. We all have it. I mean, why did I put on a dress shape to get approval? I don't know why, because when I walked into my closet, they said, put this on. Okay. So there's a part of with each of us, like from the time we're 3 and our parents clap because we peed in the toilet, we're looking for approval. So that's one rope, right? That there's a part of you that's like, would you agree with that? There's a part of you, because if you weren't looking for approval, you wouldn't care. Is that first? So that's one part. The other part they're showing me is not just that you're looking for their validation, but it's like right here in your heart chest cavity. It's a little deeper than just looking for approval. There's a part of you that almost, I'm going to use the word depends on it. It's like show, because if it didn't really matter, would you care? Does that make sense? How does that feel? Does that resonate? It's a little deeper than just looking for approval. It's like, am I okay as a person for doing these decisions, da, da, da. So that kind of makes sense. And they're asking me to go back a little bit. So just think from the time you're a kid. This is what I'm about to share with you guys. This is a huge case of relationship dysfunction. Baby to 20 or 25 years of age. Where do we put our okayness about ourselves? On our parents, or on our scholastics, or on our teachers. So I'm okay with myself because I got an A. Or I'm okay with myself because mommy says I'm okay. I'm okay with myself because this girl likes me. Do you see what I mean? It's always external. Does that resonate with you guys? My 13-year-old now has this crush on this girl every few days. Mommy, can you tune in to see if she likes me? I'm like, seriously? Like, are you serious? Why is he doing that? Because he wants approval. And unless we start to change that, it's deeper than approval. It's like a spinal cord thing. Like it keeps saying like it's attached to our spine. We're always looking for someone to say, does that kind of make sense? Here it is. The word they're giving me is they validate our existence. Does that resonate to you guys? Oh, you guys felt that one. And it's right here. It's right, for most humans, right here in the mid-thoracic spine. Where if you're always looking out there, guess what's going to happen? You're always going to be disappointed. So a huge part of not even maturing, but a huge part of our not even wake-up call, our stepping into our divine is to realize that there's no external quote-unquote approval. It can only come from within. Does that resonate to you guys? This question, I'm going to keep going with you, Martin, in a second. This question is bringing up a lot of stuff. In our human forms, we are more than just human flesh and bones and blood and what scientists and cells that they tell us. Each and every one of us are the divine, of the divine, for experience of the divine. The divine that is Divi, and it's ironic because Divi means divine. The divine that is Divi wants an experience. Does that kind of make sense? It wants to stand in front of you and have fun. Does that make sense? And the divine within Divi knows that Divi can never F up. Divi can never screw up. Divi is beautiful and incredible. But if I think that my okayness is because I have an office and I can do what I do and I have a busy schedule, then I'm always like on a hook. Does that kind of make sense? Then if I get quiet, guess what happens? Ooh! My divine my connection with the divine is the most important connection I will ever have in my life. Ever. And if I ever think that I need somebody else to tell me you're okay or not okay, then I'm always hooked. Does that kind of make sense? It's the first thing I learned. One of the first things I learned when I stepped into yoga and I became a yoga teacher was I realized that was a human characteristic that almost every human gets. And then I became a mom, I can see it. I'm like, oh my God, now I see why. Because as a parent, we falsely tell them, you're amazing and wonderful because I say so. Does that kind of make sense? As opposed to saying you're amazing and wonderful because you are you. And even if we do tell them that, they don't hear it. Because our entire society says, you get a Porsche, you're a good person. You must be special if you have a Porsche, right? You must be amazing if you have a home in Kerrisdale. Oh my God, right? Do you see how it works? We're always taught that it's outside of us. But the divine in you, so let's try this, Marty. If the divine in you knows what you're up to is amazing, could they ever show up that way? Exactly. He said no, because they couldn't see him. He went like this. And that's the crux. Does that resonate? Thank you for that question, because it brought in that teaching that I had brought in. Yeah.
How do we strengthen
That
I know
divine
you-
connection?
you've
No, it's okay.
talked
Good
about
question.
that sense of validating ourselves and needing the external bless.
It's probably one of the best questions I've ever been asked. It's a great question. It is. Yay, Marina. I know, it's great. It's a great question, because we're taught exactly the opposite all our lives. Our entire lives as humans is exactly the opposite. And I'm sure some of you have read near-death experience books and blah, blah, blah. When you talk to somebody who's had a near-death experience, I've got a number of clients who have had, they all tell me the same thing. Even if their actual experience is slightly different, there's always the same overlap. That is, the moment I let go of the physical ramifications of being a human, I stepped into this place that was beautiful light, and to go on and on and on. But it was this place of unconditional love. To answer your question shortly, briefly, and largely, is to spend 15, 20 minutes, half an hour in meditation or in a quiet time, and ask that which is, you can call the divine. Some people think of it as guides. Some people think of it as Jesus. I don't care what you think of it as, Buddha, Muhammad, your guides, or just light. I don't care what visual you have. Think of your deceased loved ones. I don't care what visual you have. But you go into meditation and you ask them that energy to come in. And then for me, I'm super clairsentient, which means I can feel energy like crazy. In fact, that's the most common clair on the planet, is to feel. What that means, guys, is when you walk into a party and you know you should be there or not, that's your clairsentience. It's your feeling body. And when I sit with that energy most days, and it's not because I'm good or bad, but I sit with that energy because if I don't sit with that energy, I'm cuckoo. Like, I'm anxious and I'm crazy and I'm mad. Don't even ask who I become. But when I sit with that energy, it's like, I'll describe how it feels to me, Marina. I'm getting it right now. It's like hot and cold buzzing. It's like I get the goosebumps. I get the tingles. I get every physiological sensation. And that physiological sensation that I feel is like better than any high. And I've never done drugs, but better than any high I think that most people can really experience. And it's something, and a lot of people are asking this question online. Problem with being intuitive is I can hear you guys. I can't do that. Blah, 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 blah. I try to sit in meditation. It doesn't happen to me. Guys, I've been meditating for 15 years, 20 years, 15 years, 20 years, something like that. And it's not like the day I started it happened. And it wasn't like I was looking for it. Does that make sense? I didn't sit down going, tell me I'm okay. It was just a gradual thing. But to actually feel that feeling it tells you that you are loved. You are loved, and you are loved, and you are revered, and you are important, and you are special. Because why? Because the divine says so. Because I say so. Because Marina says so. And when you feel that, think that, believe that, live that, then everything changes.
Thank you. That's totally amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Thank you. That was a great question.
Amazing question.
Yeah, there you go. How are you guys feeling? That's good. Yes. Shoot.
So,
Oh, this is gonna be a hard one. I'm joking. They just said, "Oh, watch out." That's what they just said to me.
I'm sure you know this about me, and we talked about it once at least. But I have a tendency to soften the blow
Soften the blow.
for people,
Okay.
and I'm like, to me, that's because a part of me is afraid that, anger and resentment from that person. But when I look at it deeper just now, it just, maybe it's because that part of me is making anger and resentment wrong.
Yeah.
And then when I'm there, the other person actually feeds on the fear.
Yep. Yeah,
And it's
you're right.
also because in the past I haven't been clear and firm.
Right. Okay. What's not right there?
Sure.
Jump in. Or is there anything else?
No, I think that's good.
So there's a couple of layers here. Really good question. So part of it is also, it's a joke, but part of it's also being Canadian and being a woman. And I'm not, guys, I am not a person who marches up and down the street and saying women's rights. I believe we should have women's rights. Why? Because we're human and we're divine. We're not better or worse than men. We are just divine. And when we stand up and realize that as each female is starting to, then we will have those equal rights. Does that kind of make sense? We will have that. But a lot of us as women were taught something different. We're taught that we're not as important, our opinion doesn't matter as much. And what I'm seeing for you is there's a layer in you that says, I can't hold an opinion. Woo! And that's okay. And can I just, don't talk yet. That's why they said you're going to just babble for a second. And then when I say it, it comes from my mind, not from the divine. When it comes from the divine, this is what I want. Okay. Now we'll talk about the reaction. Now the fear, see, when somebody gets angry, and this is really important for somebody online, when somebody gets angry, are they actually angry at you? If I'm angry about something, am I angry at Diana or who am I angry at? Always something in here. Does that kind of make sense? It's got nothing to do with me. And one of the greatest gifts we can have allow another person to experience is to allow them to have their reaction. So when they're angry, awesome, awesome. Because, do you mind if I use that as a teaching point and then I'll loop back to you? Okay, so everything that we experience out here is I was teaching this in the online workshop I did. Think of it as a film lens, like a film lens, like, you know, like a lens that you do camera through. And that film lens has a certain layer to it, okay? And that film lens then projects onto the screen of your life. You've got a film lens. One of them says, again, you may not agree with all of these. I can't have an opinion. I can't make them wrong. There's something wrong with anger. I've got to fix their emotions and da-da-da-da-da. So that's going to occur there. Got it? But if we can start to shift that, and this is to go to Marina's question, what does the divine think? Divine thinks, it's awesome that he's angry, and he's only angry because when he was 3, no one listened to him. Cool. When he was 20, he has freedom taken away. Cool. He has to process it. It's not about me. Right? And then you're right. And then you go into fear, and then they feed off of it.
Yeah. And I was also getting that this is definitely has something to do with like the ancestral stuff on my dad's side.
Right.
Like my grandmother.
Right.
So yeah, so that can definitely help.
Right. So let's feed this into the ancestral stuff. Any comments or questions? How are you guys doing with what the exercise we just did? The patterns, looking at them. Can you guys see that? So can you see how everything that occurs out there is a reflection of something within us? Guys at home, if you're stuck, let me know. Marty shared, Francis shared. Anyone else? You guys are good? You've seen what your own patterns are?
Can I say one?
Hi, love it.
I always find that there's a certain amount of drama.
I should go for it. I love this question.
And I'm not really a fan of drama.
Okay.
Or maybe I am. I just don't think of myself as a fan of drama.
Okay. Should we go here?
Well, yeah.
No, is there more?
Yeah, that's about it.
That's about it. Okay. What does your mind make drama mean? Like, why is your mind making drama wrong? Start with that.
Well, it's just so much energy where it doesn't need to be like that. It's so intense.
Okay. And so, guys, what I'm working with Valerie on, guys, is so she has this conversation that drama's wrong. So for each of you guys, if you have something written down, you want to ask yourself, well, what comes before that? What comes before that? What comes before that? Why is drama? Drama is like one of the most, that's why we have all this movie industry.
Exactly.
Drama's fun. So what's going on? What's wrong with drama? What does your mind make it mean?
It's just so intense when it could be like a calmer conversation.
Okay. But so let's go back.
Calmer vibe.
What's the issue with intensity? Like, do you see, like, what? Oh, it's right here. It's right here and you're nauseous right now. What is that? What is that fear of intensity?
That something bad's gonna happen.
There you go. And then what does that mean?
That it's gonna be my fault.
There you go. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
So feel that right there. That's what you're afraid of with drama.
Yeah.
Is it, go back to what I said with the divine.
Yeah.
Is anything, quote unquote, anyone's fault?
Yeah.
Is there something your fault? Breathe. You're right there. You're right there. That's a false belief that you were taught.
What really came to mind at that moment of being wrong, it was like I was born wrong.
Okay. Got it.
Wow.
You saw that, right?
Yeah.
So before the drama, that's 6 steps back.
Yeah.
Is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
The divine, and your mom's like crying. I don't know if she's actually crying, but I can feel her like, oh.
It's okay, Mom.
The divine, her mom's online. The divine entity of source that came into this gorgeous, incredible, sexy body called Valerie.
Yeah.
Could there ever be anything wrong with her? No. Okay, now I want you to feel that. That was head, there, right there. Can you let yourself feel that? Cry, girl. I'm joking.
You're making everyone.
I gotta find more of those. Do I need more? Oh, good.
There's more of it there.
Where?
Under your phone.
Where?
Cordless phone.
Cordless phone.
And then your cord.
Oh, right there. Got it. Thanks. Thanks, Marty. Gosh, she's got the eyes on the Kleenexes. She's so cute. So let's go back to this. This is an amazing conversation, Val, where you're on it. Now, you went in your head when you said
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Go into there, right there, into your body. Can I feel and see that there was nothing wrong with me other than the perception that which I held? I want you to hold right now in your mind's eye that little baby called Valerie. Do it right now. Hold her. Hold the little version of you. And what does it look like to see her right now? Just there you go. Can you feel her right now?
Yeah.
Are you willing to see her as a divine perfection of source? Oh, you're stopping yourself. There you go. There. There. Now what does that feel like?
Just feel centered and full of light.
Can you drop into your heart right now for me? What do you feel like when you feel who you are on the planet?
I feel like I'm important.
I feel like I'm important. I feel like I am perfect. Can that go? There you go. Out of 10, what is my worth, Valerie? Out of 10, how worthy is Valerie?
What came to mind was 8.
Okay, let's try again. Hold the divine entity of source that is Valerie, that is in this baby who came here with so much purpose. There you go. Ask your little girl, how much is she worth?
10.
There you go. Can you feel that? Yeah, just land it. So now that you're there, now that you're there, stay there. Stay there. Don't think, stay. Can I have fun watching drama? Stay in your heart. There you go.
How do I keep it in my heart?
That's why I had to work on your head, girl.
Because I know, because it keeps just going bing,
I know.
bing,
I'm watching you. I know.
bing.
I know. I'm watching you, girl. I know. You're so cute. But when you go there, it is so sexy and loving and full of, oh my godness. Universal law.
Yeah.
If I start to feel like this feels good, stay there. So this is what Marina asked about. If I feel like I matter and count and hold that for 17 seconds, 34 seconds, a minute, guess what I'm going to feel next? I matter and count. But what happens, Valerie, is you hold it for about 30 to 35 seconds, and then you fling. You fling. And this is why we're humans. And I love my four-legged creature more than I can tell you. But my four-legged creature is unable to do what I'm asking you to do. This is the difference with the humans. Humans have our left brain. We think our left brain is here to do math. Our math brain was not given to us to do math. Left brain was given for one reason, that was to direct focus. From a spiritual angle, the reason we have a left brain, as it evolved species past primates and stuff, was for one purpose, and that was to direct our energy. Because when we direct our energy, we want it to go, we can manifest like that. My dog cannot manifest a dog bone in front of him.
Yeah.
I can manifest crazy stuff. We're magic as humans. So you've got to start to use your left brain a little bit more to say, I want to focus here where I know that I'm an important divine essence. So you got that just now. And if you're willing to hold it, but what your left brain does goes, you know what your left brain does? Sorry, guys. Fuck this.
Yeah.
What's the point? That's your, right now we're at, right, Valerie? They're showing me that this is her crux of life. This is when she gets this, everything's going to change. Because this is you keep showing me a sewer, like a sinkhole you fall into all the time. And each of us do. Each of us fall into something like this.
Do you think it's because I'm not grounded?
Do I think you do that because you're not grounded? No, I think you do. Don't get mad.
No.
I'm just the messenger.
Yeah.
You're just lazy.
I'm lazy.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
And we all are.
Yeah. In certain areas, everyone is, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being lazy because you know how to do this.
I just get distracted.
You nailed it.
Totally.
See that? But you saw it just now with us. For those of you, I know you couldn't see her at home, but she would jump into her body, feel that she mattered, then she'd go to her head, come in and go out. And that's what we all do.
Now, could that be just like programming of just carrying that around for a long time, and it's just like feels better to go back into it?
It feels safer to go into our heads because that's where we do math and science from.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're never going to find the answer in your left brain.
Yeah.
And it's just habit.
Okay.
A little technique I taught the last weekend workshop I taught, and it might work for you, is I said, physically, take your left brain out. Like just put it down on the table.
Okay.
And now pick up the divine mind and put it on. There you go. That's what I did when I had my hands on your head.
Yeah.
I literally was taking your left brain away.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There you go. That just landed.
I like that one thing that you did too with making the connection to the divine, the halo around your head.
Right.
That's just
I do- when it
That
incredible.
works for me too. That was the last workshop, right?
Did I
Yeah.
teach that?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of like the divine being way out
Oh, did I do
there,
that?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
to just imagine that
Like
halo.
an umbrella.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I teach that.
Just
That
so
works for
good.
me.
That is so cool.
So good.
You got to get rid of your left brain a little bit more too.
Okay,
So
love
put that down.
Yeah.
And then put the divine.
Awesome.
Really good.
Awesome.
Really good.
Awesome.
Awesome. How are you guys doing at home? We're good? Please type in. Let me know that I haven't lost you. All right, where are you guys at? You're good? Okay. You're good? We're looking right at you. You're good? Oh, she looks away. Are you good?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
The guides are looking right at you. So, and they're telling you guys at home to type in and let me know how you are. Did I stir something up or are you good?
Oh, everything. I feel all of it.
I know, they're crazy. Well, you're so clairsentient. You've got some stuff stirred up. Do you want some help or do you want to sit with it right now?
No, sure. I just always am not confident of doing it right in my head.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, no, I'm just, my little complaints is like, I feel like I always have to remind this person to do things, otherwise I don't trust him that things will be
Such a good example.
and I feel like he's, I'm someone that does things like yesterday. And when I want things done, it's done yesterday. And I'm like, oh, for him, it's like I have to push him 10 steps to get one step. I feel like he's not motivated. Like, I have to hammer at him for every little thing. Like, why am it's me. I love to control. I know that. But fuck, I'm just so impatient.
This is like great example. You guys can hear at home. Carol said we are feeling divine.
Oh,
Awesome. So this is a great example. Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase it just for myself. So basically, your partner never does stuff on time, is always late, never isn't the way you are. He delays, procrastinates, that kind of stuff. Cool. And it drives you crazy because you say it 20 times a day. Da 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 da.
And he'll be like, oh, I forgot. So,
Do you want some help?
yeah.
The reason I get so excited is because this is a super common thing. You know that, right? I'm just going to walk over here, and I don't mind running back and forth, just so you know. All right, it might pick it up from there. I don't really care. Okay, give me just one second. Obviously, the first line I used, you got that one, right? One of your ropes is you make him wrong. Or not even that you make him wrong, you have to be right. You and I are really similar. Got to be right. And part of that's also our ethnic descent. So are you first generation, second generation? So your parents immigrated?
Yeah.
Okay. Whoa, I'm on fire. I'm so hot right now. So this is it. Okay, so this is one of the layers. It's like your parents immigrated, and are there only girls? You have brothers?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, got it, right. A lot of times, and this is not just an immigration conversation. It's why are you doing a hard way scan? Postpone. Go away. Postpone for 4 hours. Sorry, guys. They want to scan my computer. Weird. Okay. So a lot of times when our parents immigrated from a different country, and this is not just an immigrant conversation, they do a lot and they unconsciously put into us, consciously and unconsciously, a bit of a fear of the outside world. That makes sense? And you cannot not have it. If I moved to Cambodia today and I didn't speak the language and I look like I look, how do you think I'd feel? Like an outsider. Do I fit in? What am I going to do? You got to, even if there's a lot of expats and foreigners. So they're telling me this is partly an immigrant. So we'll go there first, then we'll come back to your partner in a second, and you in a second. So there was a thinking, and this is part of the intergenerational stuff, guys. And just so you know, when I teach the full day workshop, we're going to break it up into specific exercises, but I'm just hammering it a little bit right now. You were taught that if it wasn't done in a certain way, it was wrong. Do you remember that? I keep seeing it. I don't think you're actually hit, but I keep seeing like,
I was hit.
well, you were hit because they're showing me like a slap on the wrist. Okay, so you were hit. Cool. So that's where the origin of a lot of your anxiety comes from, is that they're calling it the intergenerational trauma of what you were taught in terms of the importance of X, Y, Z. Just breathe for a second. We are going to answer this question. Just bear with me because I want to teach in here too. One of the reasons we have partners who push our buttons, every reason, is because this has to get healed. That makes sense? So when our partners push our buttons, it's because it's something within us. You've heard me say that all morning, right? It's something within us. So your brain is or there's a little girl inside of you who's so scared that you're going to get it wrong. And during the one-day course, we spent a lot of time talking about this little girl right now. I keep seeing her. She's grabbing your leg when your husband doesn't tell us. I'm making this up. And your little girl is going, make sure he does it, make sure he does it, make sure he does it so you don't get hit. And then when he doesn't do it, you get disappointed, make yourself wrong. The little girl says, see, I told you. What'd you do marrying him? It's always going to screw up. But the thing, Terry, you and I are the same. We're going to keep repeating the same patterns until we shake it. You got a little child. So it's not that you have to stay for your little child. We don't believe in that. But you want to stay for healing that little girl who was hit. That's why he shows up and doesn't tell us.
Oh.
Does that make sense to you? Breathe. They're telling me you're not breathing. There you go. How does that feel before I keep going?
You're right.
Damn. I'm not. Pardon? What'd you say, Heather? No, I'm like the divine. You guys got it right. Thank God you guys got it right. Because I'm going on a limb here. I'm seeing somebody gets wrist get hit. I'm like, oh, that hurts. I always say I have an easy job as long as I stay connected to that. I can't make this shit up, save my day. So I was saying to my new client, I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart. So the reason, how are we doing for time? Okay, every time they're saying to go here. Okay, let's go there. Are you guys okay? Yeah, they're good. Okay. So guys, let me just teach and I'll come back. So within my adult, I'm 40-something year old, there is a 3-year-old in me, an 8-year-old in me, and these are my personal divvies. Okay, let me back up. Here's my soul in pure divine consciousness, pure divine consciousness. Then they say we have these soul fragments, okay, where pain existed, okay? And those soul fragments want to get healed. So I have a 3-year-old in me. I won't tell you the story, but I have a 3-year-old in me that does this all the time, pouts. Why didn't it work out for me? That's my 3-year-old. Then I have an 8-year-old in me that is really like, then I have a teenager who's super angry. Do you get it? And my husband and I was joking. He goes, oh, here comes your 3-year-old. And it's kind of a bit of a funny game. Like, yeah, well, your 8-year-old just showed up too, dude. And so, and it's funny because we laugh. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
But so these soul fragments, what Terry's showing us is she has a soul fragment, okay, that's frozen in time that remembers the pain. And we're going to work with soul fragments now. We have enough time. We're going to work soul fragments right now in the time lot we have left to show you guys how to heal them. Because this little soul fragment, Terry's a little bit older than 3, but in that age group. And she was hurt and upset and occasionally hit because she did something wrong. Guys, don't get mad at her parents. Do not get mad at her parents. Her soul chose her parents. It's pretty simple. Does that kind of make sense? Her soul and your soul chose your dad, your soul chose your parents, nothing bad or wrong. So guys, please do not get mad at her mom and dad. They did the best they could with what they had, and they're amazing people. I've tuned into both of them. They're wonderful humans who have passed, but that's cool. But what's happening is the soul fragment of Terry's from about 3 to 5 years of age, that's the one who, when husband doesn't, pick up the stuff from the laundromat or do whatever he's not doing, that's the one who has the hissy fit. If you did what I did for work, I sit and I observe a client, and especially my clients who are newer to this work, and especially when I'm working with couples, that one's interesting. When couples come in and they'll take themselves through a fight in front of me just because I'm holding the space for them to do it, I literally will watch the woman's face change to a certain age group and the man's face change to a certain age group. It's like, holy clolies. And it's pretty cool to watch. It's like, wow, you're about 5 right now and you're about 6. Wow. Does that?
We should say that to our children too when they start fighting.
What do you mean?
Like siblings. Oh, you're 5 now.
Right. Oh, like your adult siblings. Yeah, totally. It works.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it totally works.
That's one of my issues.
Can you hold on 1 second? Yeah. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to use this as a teaching point, and I'll loop back to you. I want you all to, they're saying, look at the same pattern that you've written down of the partner that you chose, the person you chose at the beginning, and look in there if there's something triggered inside of you that you think was like a frozen soul fragment. So typically what I say to my clients is, okay, so this pain that you're experiencing at 42 years of age or whatever age, when did you have that when you were a kid? And if they say they don't know, it's not that they're wrong, but they just aren't aware of it. Because if it's a deep recurrent pattern, right, then it's something of a soul fragment. Does that kind of make sense to you guys? You guys are landing this? Okay. So I want you guys to, at home, write down where you're, and if you don't know, I'm here to help. That's why I'm here. So there's something in you that's frozen in time, and we're going to work with that soul fragment in just a minute. And yours might be a neonate. You might want to work with that little baby in utero or at birth. I don't care. At a certain point, yeah. Because it's a story that you took on that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Does that resonate?
Totally.
Question, comment, yes.
Oh, I'm saying, I want to say that, Chris had that tendency too, where every time I asked him to do something, and then he just would make up excuses or just procrastinate. I always responded differently. I would just I just like forget about it. I'll just do it. And
Right.
then
So he had the same
after-
pattern that Terry's partner does. Like
yeah,
delay,
but
delay,
I'm
delay.
feeling maybe like I'm not feeling that Chris and Terry's partner like they had the reason behind procrastinating was the same reason. But I'm looking at my energy, and then eventually I'm just like, fuck that, I'm not
Right.
right. But then I start resenting him. But what is it in my energy that attracts someone like that?
Got it. And that's
Mike was like that too.
right. That's a soul. So it's a soul fragment. If we keep bringing the same partners,
Okay.
right? It's the same. And my sense is it might actually be identical because you're also
Oh,
an immigrant,
right.
child of an immigrant. And I'm not saying all immigrant kids have this. Does that make sense? Because I marry husbands who are always 20 minutes early and do everything on time. I marry the opposite. I nicknamed my husband the other day, "You're 20 minutes early, Ed." He's like, "Yep, that's me." You know what I mean? You get everything done that needs to be done, you know? Yesterday I gave him shit because the avocados he bought all went bad. Bought 5 of them, he forgot. He didn't know to put them in the fridge. I'm cutting them. Like, and then he was like, felt so bad, he ran to the corner. He's like, "I'll be back." I'm like, "Where are you going?" I didn't know. I know, so I'm the opposite, but almost annoying opposite. Yes.
Chris does that too.
Yeah.
Like he'll pick me up, he'll like be 10 minutes early, but then there are other times. So it's like either this or that. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And that's of course
That's something
it's a
new.
reflection of me.
Right.
Oh, when you're not supposed to put avocado in the fridge.
Aren't you
In a
supposed to put
paper bag.
avocado?
Yeah,
bag.
on the counter.
And that's why I said that. I didn't know that because we stick them in the fridge. You're supposed to put them in the paper bag. Who knew that?
Yeah.
When it's
Same
right.
as tomato.
Yeah.
Are you guys serious?
Because
Yeah,
literally
never in
they
the
last
fridge.
longer.
They last longer in the
Put 'em on
fridge.
the counter, and in the
Get a bunch of
fridge,
lemon tea
they're
and talk about
veggies.
avocado.
Yeah, when they're ripe in the fridge.
Okay. Marina, okay, we're gonna avoid the avocado conversation. I have a question, Marina. They want me to go to you and then come back to Terry and all the other girls beside you. Remember you told me briefly about that story?
Yeah,
Do you see the soul fragment matching you?
well, I'm not totally sure.
Sure.
Because, this is kind of a possibly new situation that I was hoping was maybe gonna break some past negative patterns.
Okay.
So I'm not totally sure.
So it's
Yeah.
not a pattern that you run into all the time.
I know
Okay,
it's
so
a
it's not-
completely new thing,
Perfect.
but yeah, my past patterns pretty negative, and I saw patterns repeating themselves.
Right.
And I was thinking, okay, consciously I want to choose a little better, not choose out of ego like in the
Right.
past, but maybe let my spirit do a bit more. Yeah, and
So let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's talk afterwards because I think they're showing me that slightly different. But we'll talk after
Okay.
that. That go?
okay, great.
So let's work. So you guys all have a soul fragment at home to work with? I'm going to assume yes. If you don't, I'm here to help. Okay, write it down. So y'all have something to work with? Okay. So somebody describe briefly. Terry, do you want to describe briefly? Is it a little girl inside who was hit? Is that what we're going to work with?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Okay. So step 1, guys, is to, I need for them to see this. So here's my soul fragment. My water bottle is my 3-year-old. Okay. Step 1, guys, is to step outside of her or him. So you have to, because right now, if you could see Terry, she's together. This water ball is inside of you. Okay, I will help you. Give me 1 sec, Randy. Give me 1 sec. So right now she's inside of her. So the first step is to step outside. So guys, I want you to just think about doing that in 1 second, okay? Randy, can I unmute you? Are you okay if I unmute you? Just say yes or no. Sure, oh, totally. I love it when somebody says totally. I haven't heard that word in a while. Okay, Randy, let me unmute you. You can stay, there you go. Hey, Randy, how are you? Oh, wait, why can't I hear you? Can you talk?
There, can you now?
I can hear you. So tell me
Okay.
what a relationship pattern is that annoys you.
So right now you're really quiet for me. I'm
Oh.
going to
Turn your
take
volume.
off my video.
Sure.
Oh, okay. And then I can hold the phone up to my ear.
You're so cute. That is cute. That works. Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
It's quiet,
Okay.
but
how
I'll
about
well,
now?
I got you up to my ear, so we're good.
We're good? Okay. So tell
Yeah.
me the pattern that you're working on that keeps recurring.
Lack of communication.
Perfect. So could you imagine, sense, or see, because I'm looking at you as a little kid, that they're like, just feel this, don't think it.
Okay.
Was there a little kid that was better seen, not heard, kind of ignored, kind of left alone, or whether that be at home or in the playground?
Maybe at home.
Okay, feel, don't think. So maybe at home, because they're showing me your father's energy. So does that resonate?
That makes sense.
Okay, so how old, go into your energy body, don't go into your brain body, go into your energy body. How old do you sense that little girl is? First stage that's coming up.
Maybe six-ish, maybe?
I'm getting 6 to 8. Perfect. So you nailed it. So 6 to 8 year old who was better seen, not heard. And not that they didn't care, but that was just, I keep saying dad's dad. That was just what they were taught. That make sense? So, so there's a 6 to 8 year old in you. And this exercise I'm going to take you through is a feeling exercise. So do you got your soul fragment?
Do I have myself what, sorry?
You have your soul fragment now?
Yes.
Good work.
Thank you.
No problem. That was quick and easy. Really good. Can you do it yourself, or do you want me to do it?
Just you can do it. It's probably quicker.
Find here. There you go. You too. Okay, cool. Awesome. You guys are kicking this, by the way. Okay, so just want to make sure y'all have your soul fragments. Okay, cool. So Tara, I'm not going to pick on you, but we are going to pick on you a teeny bit. So guys, so what we're going to do is take the soul fragment and step outside. So right now, Brandy is not the 7-year-old. Terry is not. How old were you? 5? How old were you when that happened? You had to be right. And like, what's the first age that comes in? That you had to get it right, and if you weren't right, you were in. 5, yeah. I'm thinking 5. So right now, Terry and everybody step out of that. Okay. Now, once you step out, the most important part is you have to step into divine Mama I am. So even if you're not a mother or a father, I don't care. But those of us who are moms, think of being a mama. It's pure love. Daddy, pure love. Do you see what I'm asking you to do? Now, if you're not a mother or father, you can everyone can do this. Being a mother sometimes is conditional, so that might not work for you. Step into that place we were about 10 minutes ago with Valerie, where there you go, y'all did it. Literally the divine I am. And step outside of that 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and 8-year-old. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2, you guys got that? Okay, now step 3. I want you to look at your 8-year-old, 5-year-old, whatever soul fragment age you've chosen, and I want you to hear them. But I don't want you to become them. So let's listen. There, see how hard that was? See how hard that was? It was so hard, right? Yes. She made the funniest face. Oh, you should have seen it. I was like, oh, that face. I see it all the time. Okay, so let's try this. So I am going to be with you while we do this, okay? And I'm not gonna preemptively tell you guys that this is hard, but this is the step where it's goopy, okay? So Terry, let's do this together. Y'all are gonna do it with us. So step outside of, oh, there you just did it. Step outside and observe the 5-year-old. Can you do that with me? Now, can you hear her? And it's okay if you become her. Can you hear her pain? What do you think she's saying to you, hon? Can you feel what she's saying to you?
I didn't do you wrong.
Okay, there. Where do you feel this in your body? Where do you feel this, that she felt that? Pass them back. Okay. So stay outside of her. So she's saying, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. And she's crying. She's upset. Feel that. What I want y'all to understand is these soul fragments are actually trying to help you. They are trying to protect you from the pain of being hit or being accused of doing something wrong. Can you drop to the 5-year-old Terry? And each of you guys drop to the eyes, like drop down. Get to the eye level of your 5-year-old, just like a parent should do, to drop down. There you go, drop down. Can you see her eye to eye, Terry? And can you thank her for trying to protect you? Because right now she's trying to protect you from your dad, from your partner screwing up. There you go, look at her. And thank her for trying to keep you safe. How is this going for you?
My back released.
Ooh. Now,
Still a little bit here.
still a little bit there. Here's the next part. Can you give her a big hug? Tell her how much you love her. There you go.
Shit works.
Shit works, I know.
I'm surprised this quickly. Like,
Well, you're also a really advanced student, Terry. You're also super advanced, okay? So what I want you to get, Terry, is when your husband doesn't do X, Y, Z, and you say, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you pick up the grocery store? And if you listen to yourself long enough, it's the 5-year-old trying to protect you so you don't get in trouble. So this is one of the exercises. There's a zillion. Not a zillion, there's not a zillion. There's a couple more that I teach people. But that's the key part. And to step outside and to go, I see what I call this. And I can teach you others over time. I got this. I got this. And I love you. Thank you. Because she's just so trying to help you. Because the soul fragments, guys, are parts of you that actually think, Terry's actually thinks that if her husband doesn't pick up the avocado and put them in the paper bags, then she's got it. Then she's going to get hit. That's what the 5-year-old thinks. And she got it wrong. Can you see how that impacts your relationship? So the husband's in your life to heal your 5-year-old. Does that make sense? That's why he's the perfect spouse. The best spouse. And the crazy thing is, when you keep working with your 5-year-old, guess what's going to happen? He's going to bring the avocado home in a paper bag and show them to you. Here, honey. You did it right. Good work. How you guys doing? How was that?
Really good.
Was it good? Okay, you guys tapped in. She did so good. You guys did so good. So let's check in. How are you guys doing at home? How was that? How are you feeling? How did we look at you and you?
Oh, no.
Oh no! And at home I can't look at you guys. So guys, type in. I can't. So at home I know there's a couple of you. I keep seeing 3. That stuff has stirred up, or maybe, guys, you can't get this wrong. Okay. I'm teaching a really, really deep intro. So guys, I have 2 pages written out, okay? I didn't know what process we were gonna do. I've already taught all these too. I didn't know what processes we were gonna do. I didn't know. Like I meditated this morning, meditated a few days ago, got that a couple days ago. And the specific processes I didn't know. But I did get when I meditated this morning that don't worry, obviously tell me not to worry. Don't worry. We'll take you through the processes depending. So when you asked your question, each of your questions led me to a process. Do you see how it worked? So you're better. Okay, good. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And that's the power of you healing. They want me to teach something else. People at home are okay. Definitely stirs. Oh, good. I'm stirring you up. Awesome, Oleanne. That's my job. Did it right. Okay, I'm joking. Guys, there's only one vibration on the planet, and it's divine love. Okay? When we don't see the divine love, we have fear. And then the fear gets passed down. How many of us were raised with parents? Remember how I was talking to Marty about being connected with your divine and then nothing is wrong? You know what I mean? Like then we don't have to think I'm important because I get a Porsche, I'm important because I live in Kerrisdale. Like we know that the most important connection is with our divine. How many of us who were raised by parents who actually taught us that or lived that? No one has their hand up. Okay? So, okay, got it. Thanks, Miriam. I'm going to grab you before we wrap up. So if we were not taught it, guess what's going to happen? It's going to hand off. Pardon?
We have to learn it.
We have to learn it, and we have to unteach it to ourselves. Does that make sense? And the cool thing is with when Terry heals her 5-year-old, which she's starting to do, guess what she did just now? She forgave her parents. And her mother just gave me not just 2 thumbs up and not just an applause, but like a huge hug. Because there's no part of any parent who does not feel some sort of remorse or guilt or sadness, but they're just doing what they know how to do, right?
They're working with the knowledge that they have.
That's the best expression ever. They're working with the knowledge they have. And then what they do is they put it onto us, and it creates, instead of just that pure love, that fear. So they say that when we heal our little girls and our little boys and that the soul fragments, then we're healing generations back, feeling generations forward. And it's the ultimate level of forgiveness. Give me 1 second. I want to read what these guys, because I'm stirring stuff up over here. Give me a sec. Okay, so Mary, I'm going to grab you in a second. Stirring up a lot of stuff, but feeling the fear of actually being able to heal and work with those pieces. And who wrote that? Rose. Okay, cool, Rose. Cool, Marion. Awesome. You guys are so amazing. Okay, one thing I want to say to Rose and to Miriam, tell me to grab you in a second. And Miriam, let me know if it's okay if I unmute you. Let me know. So Rose, this is like a very deep webinar that I'm teaching. I didn't know how deep I was going to go. I'm not a surface teacher, if you haven't already figured that out.
That's an understatement.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that is her fault. I'm joking. Anyways, this stuff is deep. Okay, so Rose, you cannot get this wrong. And what they want me to say to you specifically, Rose, is that you will get layers of it, and then other layers of it, and other layers of it, and give it some time, and those layers will start to peel. Okay. And as the layers peel, then everything starts to shift. And Miriam, let me know if I can unmute you. And you're not supposed to get it all at once. So Terry, I've worked with for a while, so I've known her. But there isn't a level where it's like, oh, I get this all, I'm healed. I mean, what? Oh yeah, the avocado story from yesterday. I'm like, what happened between Ed and I? Oh yeah, the avocado story. There's always stuff triggering within us that always shows up. And honey, I've been doing this forever. But what I will say is that as I've been working on me and I've taken the focus off of him, he starts to change and vice versa. So Rose, you're doing amazing. Just keep going. They're saying, tell her to keep going, tell her to keep going. And the webinar is not meant to teach you at all. It's just meant to give you a little piece. Let me unmute you, Miriam. Give me a sec here, hon. Okay, so what's coming up for you, Miriam?
Hi.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. How's your day going?
Pretty good.
Awesome. So tell me what's happening for you.
Okay, so beginning of the workshop, you asked us to connect with or come up with a name, I believe.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then immediately I questioned why I came up with that name, but you told us to hold on to it, so I did. And then we came up with the list of, I guess, feelings about that person.
Right.
So I have them here. They do not care. They do not want me. They do not understand me. They do not see me. They are rejecting me. I'll just go through all of it so everyone sees it. They are not interested. They say I am their friend, but then they don't treat me like a friend. They are not there for me.
Got it. It's raw and real. Got it.
Yeah. So that's where I am. But I'm disconnected with the soul part of where that came from.
Perfect.
Not connecting to that part.
No, you're right there, hon. You're right there. Now, just so I know, is this person that you came up with, is this somebody in your adult life or somebody from your family of origin?
Adult life.
Okay, great. So they make you feel like you don't count, you don't matter, you're not important. They're going to show up, but they don't show up, that conversation.
Yeah, like they're there, but then they're not. Or they're going to be there, but then they're going to leave.
Got it. And where do you feel this in your body? Right up here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm feeling super nauseous, which is great. So something wants to move.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I need you to go out of your left brain into your feeling body.
Mm-hmm.
And they're telling me that you may or may not agree with what I'm going to say now.
Okay.
But you sense that, not even just as a child, but as a child/teenager, somebody in your family of origin may have said indirect things that have led to the same feelings.
Yes, I connect with that. So I think the issue I'm having is coming up with a specific age and also a specific person and feeling like there might be layers.
There are layers, and you're right.
Okay.
So you're 100% right. So I think we're both seeing the same thing. We don't need to talk about the details of it, but I think we're both seeing the same thing. What's your sense? Like if you had to sense an age, just the first number that comes into your head, hon, what are you getting?
First number is 7.
Perfect. I was getting 7, and I was getting also a teenage year, so both. So one thing I need to teach, Miriam, and you're bringing it up, so let me teach something, and then I'll come back to you. Each of these soul fragments are like dominoes. So my 3-year-old became my 8-year-old. My 8-year-old became my teenager. Do you see how that works? Okay.
Yeah.
You're seven. So when I'm talking to my teenager, okay,
Right.
I also have to unlayer back. Like you saw it with Valerie very briefly. She showed us the adult that didn't want the drama. And then she actually said, I said, what's behind that? What's behind that? What's behind that? She went back to neonate, like being a newborn. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
so whenever my teenager acts up and creates something in my life, I have to go back a step because it's my 3-year-old that became my 8-year-old, became my 14-year-old. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you're getting that teenage year, it's that 7-year-old who's older.
Okay.
With that 7-year-old, what was she told or what was she taught? What was her experience?
I think the summary is not feeling seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
You saw that, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Great. I'm glad you saw that. And that was from family, from siblings, from both?
I think so.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can feel it right in your chest. So
Mhm.
let's do this. Can you see her right now? Can you see that 7-year-old right now?
Yes.
Okay. Is it scary or weird or painful to see her?
Sorry, getting distracted.
Good, that's you. That's Valerie. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if I see her.
That's why I asked, because you're not. And that's okay, and I'll tell you why. This is a huge teaching point. Because your ego doesn't want to let this go. Because if this shifted, Miriam, everything's going to shift. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And that's why your brain won't let you hold her.
Okay.
Do you get it?
Yes.
And that's why I said to Valerie, there's a lot of similarities here, that the distraction is a way of you not looking at what it is. And Frances, who's been studying these forever, she and I can tell you, we all do it. We all do
Okay.
it, right? We all do it. Okay. So all it is, Miriam, is that right now it's too painful. And Cheryl just hugged you, right?
Yes.
It's very painful to do this. So we're not going to take you to the depth of what I took Terry into.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
what's going to happen now over the next few days or few weeks? You will either, this happened to me once, or more than once, you'll be walking down the street and you'll see your 7-year-old
Mhm.
with a mother and you'll see the interaction. You'll go, oh, that was me.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Or
Yeah.
goosebumps, or you'll have a dream, or does that make sense? So it becomes
Yes.
into your reality. Because right now your brain doesn't want to go there because my chest gets super tight whenever I think of that 7-year-old because it was so painful. The
Okay.
hardest part for you, Miriam, that I keep saying is, remember I said, this is your 7-year-old, I need you to step out from her?
Mhm.
That's the hardest part.
Okay.
So what I do, Miriam, I do this thing called the daily method, which is like a bar class, and you can lift your leg up and you can lift your leg over and over, and it's really painful and not fun. I do it then because I'm doing an exercise, and not that I don't like it, I actually do like it, but my brain is like such a mind-body exercise. So when I'm doing those classes, and if something is stirring up in my life, I always ask the guides to help me. So that's something I didn't take you guys into today, because physically in the room, all their ancestors and guides are here. But when you do this, ask for help. Ask your guides, even if you don't believe them, ask whoever you believe in, Muhammad, Buddha, I don't care who, ask them to help you with this.
Okay.
Does that
Yeah.
resonate?
Yes, it does.
How do you feel right now?
Better. Yeah.
You're good?
Thank you. Yes.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for that teaching point.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. How are you guys doing? Any questions at home? Any comments? How are you guys doing? How are you? Good. How are you? Because they were doing you guys a few minutes ago. You guys are good? Okay, good. I'm going to do a bit of a wrap up in a second. Okay, let's do a mini meditation. Are you guys okay if we go over about 5 or 10 minutes? You guys sure? We're going to go over about 5 or 10 minutes just for you guys at home. All right, let's do a mini meditation. Okay. Get yourself centered. Close your eyes. Just breathe. Take a few breaths in and out. As this webinar workshop starts to wind down, take a few breaths and a moment to thank yourself. You are literally taking the onion layers off of you. Take a few breaths. Take a moment to go inside and give yourself gratitude. Every single one of you, live and online, is starting and willing to look at yourself. Take a few breaths. And if you haven't done so already, I've done it for you guys. Invited all your guides, your ancestors, archangels, whoever you work with, even if you don't work with anyone, bring in whatever your belief is. Muhammad or Jesus or Sai Baba, whoever you believe in. Bring that energy in. Immediately you'll feel connected, even if you don't know you're connected. And as you sense or feel, or even kind of don't know that that energy is there, be good with it. Be present with it. And for those of us who can really feel and sense and know that energy is there, we will start to notice that that energy loves us and is excited we're doing this, and is excited that we are willing to live ourselves. So take that internal gratitude, external gratitude, and gratitude from all of your guides. Give yourself an internal pat on the back, an internal namaste, and thank you yourself so much. Remind yourself, you can't get this wrong, there's nothing serious, and you are loved to the moon and back by the divine for the expression of who you are on the planet. And before you come out of this meditation, take a moment to thank the person you worked with in your exercise today. Thank them, your mother, your father, your husband, your brother, your sister, your in-laws, your kids, whoever you work with. They are your greatest gift. The one that triggers you, the one that makes you roll over and lose sleep, they are your gift. So give them an internal namaste and thank you. Now when you're ready, gently reopen your eyes and start to come back. Just do a little wrap up and then we'll check in. I'm going to go on top to Marina before you guys leave. So I have a one-day restoration that's coming up on Sunday, November 4th. Sunday. And the best part about it is, first off, it's at the Holiday Inn down on Broadway and Willow area, down there. There's lots of great things about it. It's going to be fun. And I am streaming it, just so you know. I am streaming it. So if you want to join from home, cool. And I'll do the same thing you saw me do today. And what'll happen more at the breaks is that what'll happen is we're together from 10 to 5 with a lunch break. I will teach something, we'll teach a process, but then we didn't do any breakout time today. We did a little bit, so I did Terry and a little bit with Valerie. And then we're going to do specific exercises. We just kind of mushed 2 exercises together today. We looked at the first one, and then we mushed together the inner child stuff. But we did it really quickly, because we only had an hour and a half. Okay. We're going to make it longer. We'll have very specific exercises, and there'll be breakout times for you guys to do this, not on your own, but with a coach. So I've got all the people who are in the current coaching program. So I teach a coaching program for people to not do what I do, but do what I do in their way. Does that kind of make sense? So it's a year-long course, and it's in November, so they're in month 11. So they've learned all the fundamental tools and principles, and they'll all be there to support you guys. So you guys will go into breakouts, which will be like 10, 20 minutes, however long the breakouts are. But then they are going around to help you guys. And I will too. And for those of you online, we have people joining us online. Some of the coaches are joining us online to coach you guys. So there's 2 benefits of that. One is they get practice, and they are all, excuse my language, amazing. And the second benefit for those of you guys, for them coming, so they get practice. But the other thing is, you don't have to deal with me. Does that kind of make sense? You'll see each, because I've coached with them before. I've had them come to the last weekend workshop I ran, and they kicked it. One of the women who was in there said to me, those guys were amazing, because they each bring a different thing. I bring me, but they bring their own energies. So if you want to join me, that's on Sunday, November 4th, online or in person. 165. No, let's go look it up. 169. It's 169, and It's 2 for the price of 1. Does that kind of make sense? So you
November,
do it Sunday, November 4th from 10 to 5.
and where is it?
Holiday Inn, 711 West Broadway. Or you could join us online. And if you want to come, you bring a friend for free. Does that kind of make sense? Cool.
That's good.
Yes.
Because I'm bringing Terry's away.
Well, you're away.
I want to do it again like another day.
Where are you going? Oh, can we come with you?
My dad's inheritance isn't that big.
And what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, next weekend. Thank you. I have a weekend workshop. Okay, let me just explain. So I have a weekend workshop next weekend here at the office from 10 to 5, both Saturday and Sunday. So Mind, Body, Spirit weekends are a bit different than the relationship weekend. The relationship weekend is exclusively looking at our patterns and shadows. So essentially I could call the relationship weekend a shadow weekend, but I don't want to call it a relationship weekend. But it's a ton of shadow work. That kind of make sense? The MBS weekend is different. We do 2 days of more mental and emotional processes where you can work with your mind a little bit more. And we still do some shadow work, but it's a mixture of the mind work as well as some shadow work. But I kind of split them because it's very challenging to do tons of shadow relationship work, like what we taught today, when I'm teaching mind work. They're like such different techniques. In the 1-year course, we kind of separate them too. We do the first few months of all mind stuff, then I do a bunch of weeks of the shadow work, and then we do the intuition. So that's kind of the order because you need to separate them or else they get mashed together. Does that make sense? So the MBS is 2 days. We go through some processes. We have lots of fun, and that one's here.
I'll be here in person.
Cool. Any questions?
Will you do the 1-year course again?
Yeah, we started in January, but it's online.
I'm traveling.
Well, it's all online. We'll talk.
I can't, because
Okay.
I'll be on the go all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
So I can't really do it, but maybe.
yeah. It's an hour and a half a week. That's what that would cover. So anyway, any other comments or questions? Or maybe the following year.
Right.
Or maybe the following year. Any other comments, questions? Yes. Any comments or questions at home? Yes.
I have a question about when we heal patterns, healing generations back. And
Yes.
I'm wondering how does that work, or what is the
Sure.
mechanism?
Sure.
What-
So Terry, sorry, go ahead. Let me finish the question. Sorry. I'm gonna interrupt you. No, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah, just how does that work? I'm like trying to wrap my
Sure.
mind around.
So when Terry heals her 5-year-old, guess who she's also forgiving and letting go off the hook? My husband's dad transitioned, he's right outside it, transitioned, I don't know, about a year ago. Not that I didn't love the man, didn't like the man specifically. He was a bit of a racist. He raised the children with the back of the hand, just like, you know what I mean? But it was his stepdad, not his biological dad. So even though he's transitioned and I've tuned into him, you still hold on to your personality, right? We know that from mediumship work. We hold on to your personality, so there's still part of him that's a bit of a gruff. That kind of makes sense? But it's interesting when Ed's half native, right? And so after his biological dad died, he decided to look for his biological dad, his half native, who we found out had transitioned because we didn't start looking until. Anyways, and then he actually went and got his native status card, did all that stuff just to kind of reclaim that past, which is biological past, which he had no connection of since he was 2, right? But I've tuned into his biological dad since, and his biological dad, where he is now, is totally okay with it. Versus here, he would have been like, but Ed's also done tons of forgiveness work. So when Terry heals, like he's done a lot of work on his little child, his 8-year-old, which drives me crazy. When Terry works with her 8-year-old, she'll let go. Her parents release the pain that they held.
And so does that continue on to even the previous
It does.
generation?
It does. Joe Dispenza says it healed like 7 generations back, at 3, 4, or something like that. Yeah.
Last weekend when Chris was coming over to stay with me,
Yeah, I'm just gonna let him in.
about this just woman, like, but she was like cloaked in black.
Great. Yeah.
And it turned out like, and then Sharon and I, we exchanged mediumship session, and she said it's my great grandmother.
That is so cool.
I know, and like, and I kind of knew what like ethnic background she was. She's not Manchurian,
Right.
Or is she Chinese? And then I found out the story from Sharon, and right away, like I just like that, I healed it. Like generations of that we have to settle, that we have like as women, And, you know, we think we have no choice. We have to settle and we have to sacrifice a part of ourselves. And that we're not allowed to express our truth, right? That's all like heal, right? Like I felt her energy lighter instantly. So
It works.
it totally does.
Is it even possible, I have a question for
Yeah,
you.
shoot.
I know you might not be able to answer it, it might be too heavy or.
We'll try.
Is it even possible to raise a child with divine love only?
No, you're not supposed to.
Okay.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Because
Because,
we didn't talk about contrast and clarity. Well, we did a bit when we talked about opposites, right? Even when we transition, there's contrast. Does that make sense? It's not like there's one big soup of love, and there is, but even within that soup of love, there's contrast. You cannot have expansion on the planet or on the plane of anything if you don't have contrast. The greatest gift we can give our kids is contrast. One of the things my husband and I say about our 13-year-old is, because he's getting contrast now in high school, we're like, damn, we should have given more contrast when he was a kid. Does that make sense? Because every little contrast, he doesn't freak out, but it's just, if he had more contrast as a 7-year-old or 8, the most contrast he had, I took him to some park, not Disneyland, but the other one, Legoland. So he'll tell you the story. Take him to Legoland. It's hot, sunny day. It was actually cloudy in the morning. And we go and we hang out at the water park. His contrast from the 7-year-old child and him is, got hot because it was cloudy in the morning, got hot. We didn't bring towels. Then he wanted to go into the water park. I'm like, oh, have a towel so you're not going to the water park. That's his biggest contrast. That's not how you want to raise a child. You want to raise a child with contrast. So it's impossible to raise a child because that story is this big story. I'm like, such a little thing. Do you get it? But it's funny because my clients will often say to me, different than this, because Terry's, but my clients often say to me, they have trouble with it because on the surface they had a privileged life. So we have like what they call, and I didn't talk about this, they talk about how we have North American problems. Like, seriously, first world problems, are you serious? But the trauma, I want to teach this. If you guys are still there, I want to teach this. The trauma, so guys, in Course in Miracles, they say if it's not unconditional love, the perception is trauma as a child. Does that make sense? So the unconditional love place, got it, that we have, since it's impossible to raise a child with that purely, because here's a small example. Honey, you're just so good at eating your peas. You're 3 years old. You figured out to eat your peas. That's great. And the day he drops his pea and you don't go like that, his brain's going to interpret that, even if you didn't mean it. Does that make sense? But they actually say, and I'm sure you've read it, that they say that our first world brains, if we're not in that place of unconditional love, the trauma we have experienced, actually our brains are just like we went to Afghanistan about. That our PTSD can actually revel that of a PTSD survivor, depending on the traumas. Does that kind of make sense? But everybody has some degree of PTSD. Does that make sense?
well, we all strive for that divine love and that perfection, but it kind of seems to me right now, it seems that it's contradictory, like that it's not achievable because your parents aren't perfect. You're saying we need to go into that divine perfect love but your parents aren't perfect. You're not perfect.
Sure.
Nobody's perfect. And this is our planet of learning. So how is it even achievable?
It's achievable so we never achieve it 24/7. We're going to go in and out. Contrast is always going to exist.
Mm-hmm.
But the divine love is always available to us to show me like a platter.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's always there saying, here, do you want a glass of champagne? Champagne represents love. And at each moment you can grab it or not. Does that make sense? So that is available for us 24/7, but we're not supposed to be there all the time, or else we can never have the expansion. That answer it?
Well, and all those soul
Contracts.
that you were talking about, I mean, we wouldn't have any of that either.
Right. Not that.
Yeah.
Exactly. But Terry's soul chose the younger experience to have the experience she's going to have with her partner, and for her child, for her child to have a healed experience, but also have his contrast that's different.
Do you believe in the afterlife there's divine love and unconditional love?
100%. But there's always an element of contrast within every plane. Does that make sense? To think, that's why people always say, if I die, then I'll be happy over there. But as we discovered in Sedona when we were doing mediumship, they still have their stuff. Does that make sense? They're more wrapped in the love, but there's still that story there. Does that resonate? The weekend of the workshop that we're, or the week of the workshop, the day of that we started, I think, my aunt, I guess, my dad's sister-in-law in India had died the same day that we started the workshop. And then we were doing this technique and bringing in whoever was there on the other side. So a woman who was newer to the work was doing the technique on me. She was third eye opening. And she said, I see a woman. I'm like, okay. And then we were trying to get her to transmute what the woman was saying, right? And she kept saying to me, she's really quiet, she's really quiet, she's really quiet. Guess who she was on the planet? Quiet. I think I've talked to her and have heard 3 words my entire life. Mind you, she lived in India, so I've only seen her a few times. But you hold on to that stuff, that personality in your transition. So yes, there's this love, huge love, but you still have your stuff. Does that answer your question? You look a little lost.
So we actually never get rid of it.
Well,
That to me is annoying. I don't know. Like it's like why can you not have perfection? Why can you not get rid of your stuff?
the perfection.
You know, I don't know. Like
The
it's annoying.
perfection is in this moment.
Okay. Whoa. All you have is the moment. I understand that.
When we hold divine love, just hold that. Just hold it. Right there. So now that we have a choice. We go here. But in this moment right now, we will only ever have one. So this perfection of this moment is infinite and sublime. But if we had this all the time,
We wouldn't appreciate it.
but this moment in itself is because we're both getting our own that brain, being our divine consciousness, and being.
Yeah, I'm still angry.
Good!
I'm
You be
still irritated
angry.
and angry. I don't know why, but I am.
That feels like it's actually intergenerational, it's not just yours. Does that make sense?
I'm angry that it's not achievable. I'm angry that it's not. I don't know.
It is achievable.
Yeah, in the
In
moment.
this
I get
moment.
that, but still.
Do you feel that? In this one, this is the only, how many, Eckhart Tolle lives right up the street. If he was standing here, what would he say to you?
You only have this moment.
Only
I
moment.
know.
What part of your brain is doing this? This is subpersonality in you. You see this, right? This conversation is a subpersonality that says there's something wrong. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Breath. Because did you guys watch her body language in her face? Sorry.
And she might want to just keep looping in frustration.
It's your midbrain that's looping. Do you see that? Your mid. I want them to be able to see your face.
I don't know what the midbrain is. You have
Pardon?
to explain it. I don't know what the midbrain is.
Okay, so the midbrain is where it's right in the middle.
Okay.
And that's where your amygdala lies. And that's where we loop our stories from. So you know when we get anxious, that's where we loop from.
Yes.
So when Terry points her finger to her husband, right, she's looping in the midbrain. Like anytime we loop, that's your midbrain firing. They're telling me definitely this is a subpersonality. There's no question. And the subpersonality is from the intergenerational stuff. So it's the story that there's something wrong. Take a breath for a second. In the divine, is there anything wrong?
She's done more classes.
I haven't seen Marty in years.
I have to digest it.
Okay. I want you to know it's not, when you said that, it wasn't a question, nothing wrong, but that wasn't a question from the divine mind. It was a question from, there's something, there's something wrong here. Because the divine is like, this is such an amazing place. The divine, when Valerie was puffing her brain, she was like, this is so cool to watch. Check this out. That's what they were doing to me. Check this out. This is so fun. Oh my God, fun. I must have fun with her. He said, go put your hands on her head. See if she'll stop spinning. But they were like really excited. This is fun. They weren't making her wrong for it. Do you feel a difference? Versus the loop. Why does Valerie keep doing that? You get it? Versus the divine is like, oh. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Just make sure. Bye, guys. We've already left. You guys are good? Awesome. I'll see you guys on Sunday, November 4th. That's going to be so much fun. And maybe next weekend. Cool. Cool, guys. Awesome work, guys. Thank you. I got a call. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I will. Bye, honey. I have to text you later.